TitleMatchNetwork.com.
The Von Erichs that I met, they seemed to be good people. And then when I was here and Kerry came up here, he was very good friends. Him and Warrior were good friends because Jim was down there at the time. And I say Jim because he's a friend of mine. So if he sees this, Jimbo. You know, I know you want to be called Warrior, but sorry, you're Jimbo to me. But they were close, and I was close with Jim.
Ultimate Warrior, what was he like outside the ring? A lot of people say different stories about Jim.
Well, Jim was what you saw in the ring. Well, he carried that out of the ring, too. That was not Jim. That was not Ultimate Warrior Jim Hellwig. He wasn't working that. That's him. That's what's inside of him. He's an intense son of a bitch. And he's probably still like that today. We haven't spoken in about 3 years, but I consider him a friend. I can pick up the phone and talk to him now like it was nothing. If he answers or he hasn't changed his number. But anyway, he was an intense son of a bitch. And that intensity carried on into the ring. Like I said earlier about Roddy Piper. Rowdy was rowdy before he got into wrestling. Well, Ultimate Warrior was ultimate and intense before he got into wrestling. You can't fake that shit. You just can't. So, I mean, certain situations, like my time that I could spend with him, I mean, we'd try to share a room together, you know, and he'd get up in the middle of the fucking night. He had a driver at that point. Vince had gotten him a driver because Jim would drive 110 fucking miles an hour. Him and Warlord were notorious for that. But anyway, he'd get up in the middle of the night. So I'm going to go find a fucking gym and I'm going to work out. I said, where the fuck you going? It's 6 in the morning, whatever it was, 3, 4, 5, 6. He'd find a gym somewhere, or he'd have that damn driver find him a gym. So he was an intense individual. He didn't do anything half-assed. Now, some people may look at his work and go, his work was half-assed. Well, fuck. I mean, the guy, in my opinion, was the most successful individual in professional wrestling because, more so than Hulk Hogan. I'm going to tell you why. Because in the short amount of time he was with the company, he made the most amount of money. Not in the long run. I'm talking about short term. You know, he made the most money that anyone's ever made for that short period of time that he was with WWF. Now, I don't think his total career was probably even over 5 years if you put the whole thing together. You know, but Vince was a big mark for him. That's when Vince started lifting weights. Jim would tell me he would spend weekends at Vince's house, which is a little, you know. But anyway, you know, and they would go to the gym and they would work out. And I think that was when Vince got into the whole bodybuilding deal. That's where he bought bodybuilders and he tried to form this WBF, which to me was like, you know, I think he just wanted to have bodybuilders in his nest or under his control or whatever. But Jim Hellwig, Ultimate Warrior, was an intense individual, outside the ring, inside the ring. He drove 110 miles an hour. Anything he did, he wasn't much for, you know, I never seen him, wasn't a big drinker. I'm not gonna say what I saw him do. You know, I don't think it's fair. But he wasn't a big drinker. He wasn't he wasn't like a big rock star party life, you know, pussy on the road kind of deal. It wasn't that kind of thing. He was just intense. I mean, he'd go to the gym sometimes twice a day on the fucking road at all hours. So I say it as a joke, I could probably only spend at most would be like a day and a half with him. If that'd be a record because he's that intense. And it just makes you all like, you know, it doesn't wear off on you. It makes you want to fucking run. You're scared the shit out of it, you know. You're scared of it, you know.
Right.
But he's an intense individual, and I believe he's an intense individual to this day. I mean, I saw something on YouTube where he cut a fucking promo on some football player that was trying to cut in line to get his autograph. You know, I said, well, that's Jim. I said, that doesn't surprise me.